The 2018 superhero body count was impressive, and 2019's Butcher's Bill promises to stack at least as high. Last year, the genre didn't really give us impressive numbers until the release of Avengers: Infinity War. Meanwhile, the ranks of the capes have already been seriously thinned in 2019. Warning, spoilers ahead. First appearing in 2016 Suicide Squad No. 3, the bizarre Cosmonaut was a member of Russia's Annihilation Brigade. The brigade tried and failed to stop the squad from escaping after they broke into an underground prison. But in Suicide Squad No. 50, Cosmonaut sacrificed himself for his old adversaries. With Amanda Waller rendered a giant, mindless beast that could breathe fire, Harley Quinn and Rick Flag were not much of a match. In an uncharacteristic move, Cosmonaut saved his old enemies by holding off Waller. Quinn and Flag eventually managed to find the rest of the squad and restore Waller to her old form, but not in time to save Cosmonaut. Before losing her powers, Waller melted his big metal hammer head.
Damn, that is just a mean lady.
Glass saw all of its super guys killed in a single scene. Unfortunately, that includes David Dunn, who had been known as the Vigilante Overseer since 2000's Unbreakable. In the final battle between Dunn and the Beast, the latter, having learned from Elijah that Dunn's weakness is water, hurls himself and Dunn into a huge plastic water tank. The tank proves too brittle for the struggle and shatters, freeing them both and flooding a large pothole. After Dunn's son Joseph begs policemen to help his father, one of the policemen shoves Dunn's face into the pothole. Dr. Ellie Staple rushes to Dunn and tells him to hold her hand. He does, and his power allows him to see a memory of Staples, a meeting of a secret society dedicated to keeping people with powers in check. She tells Dunn if she'd convinced him that he never had powers, he would have been allowed to live. The policeman pushes Dunn's face back into the water, drowning him.
A lot of people are going to die.
A star athlete paralyzed by a bullet during a peaceful protest, Khalil Payne fell under the sway of the power-hungry Tobias Whale, who funded surgery that restored Khalil's ability to walk and gave him powers. Whale treated Khalil like a son at first, and in return, Khalil served Whale as painkiller. He used poisonous darts to attack random former classmates, eventually fighting and defeating Black Lightning himself. After Whale's treatment of Khalil turns ugly and abusive, Khalil finally finds the courage to turn on Whale and run away with his ex-girlfriend Jen. Khalil agrees to go home, turn himself in, and enter witness protection. Whale hijacks Khalil's transport and confronts his former protege, ripping Khalil's cybernetic spine out of his back with his bare hands. While Khalil clings to life following Whale's brutal attack, Jen convinces her psychic teacher Perenna to ease Khalil's passing by placing the couple in a dream world where they're on their way to the prom. February's Uncanny X-Men No. 11 represented the first reunion of Cyclops and the newly resurrected Wolverine. But while it gave the X-Men back two of their favorite sons, it also stole away two lesser-known daughters. The first victim was the young, future-seeing Blindfold, real name Ruth. In the wake of almost all of the X-Men disappearing in previous issues, Blindfold was one of the few allies both Wolverine and Cyclops were able to contact while looking for survivors. Unfortunately, she was seeing bleak and disturbing images of the future, causing her to feel utterly hopeless. Scott Summers finds Ruth has committed suicide in her bathtub, cryptically writing, "This is forever" on the wall in her own blood. Ruth first entered the X-Men mythos courtesy of Buffy the Vampire Slayer creator Joss Whedon and artist John Cassaday's game-changing Astonishing X-Men run, when Ruth predicted the tragic suicide of fellow Xavier student Wing. Loa's death is portrayed strangely, particularly for a superhero character. We see little of the events leading up to it, don't know who killed Loa or how it happened. Held hostage by Blindfold's random memory of what has happened, what is happening, and what's to come, we find Velocidad and Blindfold standing over the corpse of Loa in the snow. We don't know exactly how she died or exactly who killed her. Considering the events of the rest of Uncanny X-Men No. 11, which shows how jubilant anti-mutant groups like the Purifiers are in the wake of the X-Men's disappearance, it seems likely a mutant-hating group was responsible for Loa's death, but we don't know for sure. The feel of the issue, particularly Blindfold's chapter, suggests the confusion will be cleared up soon. As the Gifted second season reaches its climax, Marcos, aka Eclipse, meant to capture and interrogate Inner Circle stooge Max about the group's plans, but Max fights back and forces Marcos to use deadly force. That leads Inner Circle head Riva to search for the traitor who led the mutant underground to Max. She blames the wrong person. Not knowing that Polaris has learned to use her magnetic powers to hack computer systems, Riva and the Frost Sisters blame Sage, whose powers revolve around computer systems, and whose digital signature they find. Sage pleads her innocence, but Riva is unconvinced. She uses her sonic powers with her usual mercilessness, killing Sage. While Sage is innocent of betraying the Inner Circle and the Gifted, her comic book counterpart was a spy for Professor X, infiltrating the infamous Hellfire Club. Early in the current run of Batman, the Caped Crusader comes across two heroes he thinks might act as replacements in his mission to safeguard Gotham. The brother-sister team of Gotham and Gotham Girl have Superman-like powers and idolize Batman. They'd subjected themselves to experiments to gain their powers, and those powers were slowly killing them. Gotham dies, and Batman does what he could to help Gotham Girl. In the mini-event The Price, Gotham Girl returns with a plan for vengeance, a mystery benefactor, and her brother resurrected. Gotham's return is short-lived, though. In battle with the Flash, Gotham quickly overextends himself and again dies, literally exploding. If Blindfold and Loa weren't enough, the following week in Uncanny X-Men number 12, former X-Factor member Guido, aka Strong Guy, falls. Still looking for surviving X-Men, Cyclops and Wolverine learn that mutants were being imprisoned and used to power a new kind of Sentinel. Freeing Strong Guy, Mirage, and others from their Sentinel suits, Cyclops and Wolverine lead a raid on the prison to free the remaining mutants. On their way out of the prison, a copy of Multiple Man discovers he had been booby-trapped with a bomb. Guido uses his body to absorb the blast and protect his allies. Already weakened by a techno-organic virus, Guido didn't survive the blast. Still being pursued, the X-Men were forced to leave their friend's massive body behind. When active, Reed Strucker's powers cause anything he touched to disintegrate, which unintentionally jeopardized his own safety and that of everyone around him. He'd managed to use his powers consciously once or twice, but for the most part they eluded his control. He went so far as to suppress them with drugs.
I have this ability, and there's nothing I can do with it.
In the season finale, Reed uses his lack of control to a noble end. When the Mutant Underground raids the Inner Circle's headquarters to stop Reva from sparking a mutant-human war, Reed slips past her security and confronts her. Knowing Reva's sonic powers would make his abilities even more unpredictable, Reed cuts loose, utterly destroying the top floors of the Inner Circle's building, killing himself and Reva in the process. Most readers knew one team member would bite the dust by the end of X-Force number 4. Previews of the cover showed the teenage Cable cradling what appeared to be an obscured corpse. The obvious choice was Deathlock, who appeared mortally wounded by the mutant hunting Ahab in the previous issue. Deathlock gets better though. Then Ahab nearly disembowels Shatterstar with Wolverine-ish claws he'd taken from Deathlock. But Shatterstar gets better too, and it looks like the cover might have just been one big tease. Ahab and his mutant-hating ally are both dead when finally, on the second to last page, an energy portal appears behind Warpath and he's impaled through the chest by some kind of energized rod. Warpath collapses to the ground and the final page reveals a splash of X-Force's old enemy Strife emerging from the portal, presumably ready to send the rest of X-Force to join Warpath in the afterlife. Asgardians of the Galaxy has proven to be a lot of fun. A team of Asgardian and Asgardian-themed heroes forms to stop Nebula from bringing about Universal Ragnarok. The Asgardians are led by the deadly Angela and include Scourge the Executioner, Valkyrie, Thunderstrike, and Throg, Frog of Thunder. The team also included the Deadly Destroyer armor, and by the end of the first issue, it was revealed that the armor was hiding and protecting Kid Loki, a younger and even more insufferable version who emerged as a result of the original Loki's death in 2010. There is some mystery behind how Kid Loki dies in Asgardians of the Galaxy number 7, because it isn't a result of that issue's events. Angela finds Kid Loki lounging on the branch of a tree. He tells her he can't go with her because his older counterpart, who did eventually return, has dismissed the spell that brought him into being. Kid Loki simply vanishes into nothing. War of the Realms number 1 ends with a major Asgardian death. As Malekith's forces finally attack Earth and the heroes of New York City rally, King Laufey of the Frost Giants targets Freya, mother of Thor and wife of Odin. The giant has the Asgardian queen trapped when Loki appears and separates his biological dad's hand from the rest of his arm with a glowing green sword. Calling Loki his, quote, one great shame, Laufey seizes his son and devours him. Loki's presumed death here seems particularly unceremonious for a character this popular, not to mention the fact that he's just started appearing in a kind of buddy cop miniseries with Wolverine called Wolverine Infinity Watch, which isn't even halfway through its run yet. Plus, Loki's getting a new solo series in July. In Avengers Endgame, Black Widow and Hawkeye are half of the team sent back to 2014, where they're assigned to get the Soul Stone. Though Nebula gives the Avengers the location of the Soul Stone, she unfortunately doesn't know what it will take to claim it.
The stone demands a sacrifice.
Widow and Hawkeye arrive on Vormir and quickly encounter the Red Skull. When he explains the stone's price, Clint and Natasha argue over who should die. Clint feels his actions as Ronin have turned him into a monster, while Nat doesn't see anything worth living for beyond the found family Thanos' purge stole from her. The argument turns physical, with Clint throwing himself over the cliff. Widow follows him and winds up dangling over a fatal drop, with only Clint's grip keeping her from falling. She begs Clint to let her go, and she eventually falls to her death. Just like Thanos in Infinity War, Clint wakes in a shallow pool with the Soul Stone. Early in Avengers Endgame's final battle, Tony Stark asked Doctor Strange if this was the possible outcome Strange saw in which the good guys win.
How many did we win?
One.
Strange refuses to answer at first. After Thanos captures the new Infinity Gauntlet, Strange mutely signals to Tony with one index finger. Stark rushes Thanos, who easily brushes him aside. But once Thanos snaps, we learn that the point of Tony's attack was to steal the stones. Showing the gathered stones on his suit's gauntlet, Stark snaps his fingers and the Mad Titan's forces turn to dust. Thanos slumps to the ground and is purged from existence. Tony doesn't have the strength to survive using the stones. As he struggles, Pepper summons the courage to smile and tell him they're all going to be fine and that he can rest now. Tony dies, and the light in the arc reactor in his chest blinks out. At the end of the credits, you can hear Tony's hammer striking the anvil while making his first suit in 2008's Iron Man. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about superheroes are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.